Hello students, here we are into the next class of NEET Zoology. So we have already started to learn regarding diversity in the living world. In our previous class we have learned what is living. So here in our today's class we are going to learn more concepts related to the diversity in the living world. So the chapter name is also diversity in the living world, students. So we are going to learn a lot of concepts related to the living world in today's class. So students, we have if you just take a look at your surroundings, we will be seeing a variety of living organisms, right? We will be seeing our pets, dogs, cats, different birds, different plants we will be seeing, right? So with the increase in the area of your observation, even the number of types of organisms that you will be observing will also increase, right? So if you just take a forest, you will be seeing a number of varieties of organisms, right? The number of varieties of organisms which are also very great in numbers. We will be seeing varieties of organisms and also number of organisms will be also high in a forest. So this diversity in the living organisms, is called as biodiversity. Okay, the diversity in living organisms is called as biodiversity. Diversity in the living organisms is called as biodiversity. Okay, ma'am. So we all know that there are a variety of living organisms. So do you know that there are nearly 1.7 to 1.8 billion species. Okay, 1.7 to 1.8 million species of animals. 1.7 to 1.8 million species of animals have been identified and described so far. Okay, ma'am. So students, there are a variety of organisms. We call those organisms with some local names which vary from place to place, which are also varying from one country to the other country. Okay, there are organisms which are called by their local names, and the local names are different from one place to another place, even within the same country, right? So there arises a necessity for naming these organisms with one such name which is common throughout the world. Okay, there is a very bad necessity for naming the organisms with one name which is same throughout the world, so that by using that particular name we can understand, yes, this is this particular organism. Okay, so that pattern of naming of the organism, with one name which is same throughout the world is called as nomenclature. Okay, so now students, we are going to learn regarding nomenclature. Okay, what is nomenclature? It is a pattern of naming of the organisms with a name which is same throughout the world is called as nomenclature. It is the pattern of naming of the organisms with a name which is same throughout the world. Okay, throughout the world is called as nomenclature. Okay, nomenclature is the pattern of naming of the organisms with a name which is same throughout the world is called as nomenclature. Okay, so here the name whatever is given to the organism is called as scientific name. It is called as scientific name. Okay, we cannot just simply give a name to the organism, because we are giving a name which is same throughout the world. That particular organism will be known with the same name in the entire world. So there are some guidelines for naming of the organisms. Okay, there are some guidelines for naming the organisms. And who will frame these guidelines? The guidelines for naming of the organisms are framed by ICZN. The guidelines for naming of the animals are given by ICZN. The rules for naming the organisms is framed by ICZN, which means International Code of, which means International Code of Zoological Nomenclature. Okay, ICZN, which means International Code of Zoological Nomenclature. Okay, so ICZN will frame the rules for naming of the organisms. Okay, so for naming of the organisms, the most popular method, the most commonly used method for naming of the organisms is binomial nomenclature. Binomial nomenclature. This is the most commonly used method, the most popular method used for naming of the organisms. It is binomial nomenclature. Okay, ma'am. So students will once revise what we have learnt here, and then we will learn more regarding binomial nomenclature. So we have learned what is biodiversity. We have seen how many number of species are known to us. We have learned what is nomenclature, the pattern of naming of the organisms with a name which is same throughout the world is called as nomenclature. We are giving a scientific name to the organism. ICZN, International Code of Zoological Nomenclature, will frame the rules for naming of the organisms. Right? And what is the most popular method used for naming the organisms? Binomial nomenclature. So let us now start learning regarding binomial nomenclature. So we are now learning regarding binomial nomenclature. Binomial nomenclature. Okay. So binomial nomenclature is a method of naming of the organisms which was popularized by Carolus Linnaeus. It was popularized by Carolus Linnaeus by using it in the 10th edition of his book called as Systema Naturae. Okay. So, Carolus Linnaeus has popularized the concept of binomial nomenclature by using it in the 10th edition of his book Systema Naturae. He popularized the concept of binomial nomenclature. Here in binomial nomenclature, see, it is called binomial nomenclature. Bi means two. Okay. So, in binomial nomenclature, we are going to give a two-worded name to the organism. Okay, we are going to give a two-worded name to the organism. So that two-worded name we are giving is called as binomen. What is the name called as? It is called binomen. It consists of two components. Okay, so the first component is the first word. The first component is the genus name. Okay, the first component is the genus name. The second word or the second component is the specific epithet. Okay. The first word in this binomial is genus name. The second word is specific epithet. Okay. So this specific epithet in the sense it is the species name. Specific epithet in the sense it is the species name. Okay. So let us first learn regarding the genus name and species name in detail. Then we will learn the next rules. Okay. So the first word is genus name. Right. So the genus name is always a noun. Okay, ma. Genus name, it is always a noun and it will always start with a capital letter. Okay. Genus name, it is always a noun. It will always start with a capital letter. Coming to the specific epithet, which means the species name, it is an adjective. It is an adjective and it will always start with a small letter. It will always start with a small letter. Okay. First word is genus name. Students, remember this is very basic. This is completely basic. This is something very basic you all all need to understand, because you are into science, you are learning biology, you need to understand this concept very well, because this is how we name the organisms. Okay, important concept. So the first word used for naming the organisms is called genus name. It's a noun. It will start with a capital letter. The second word is indicating it's a specific epithet. It is the species name. It is an adjective. It always starts with a small letter. Okay. There are also certain other rules for naming the organism. Let us see what they are. First one is the first rule is all the names, all the scientific names, they should be Latin or Latinized form. Okay, they should be in Latin or Latinized form. Whatever is the word, whatever is the origin of the word that we are using to name the organism, it should be converted into a Latin or a Latinized form. Okay, and when we are printing the scientific name, always the scientific names should be printed in italics. Always the scientific names should be printed in italics. So why are we printing it in italics? Because printing of the scientific name in italics will indicate that it is a Latin or Latinized form of the word. Okay, printing it in italics will indicate that it is Latin or Latinized form of the word. That is why we are printing it in italics. But when we are writing, okay, when we are writing, the two words should be underlined separately. Two words, they should be underlined separately. When we are writing, the two words, they should be underlined separately. Okay, so this is how we write the names, this is how we print the names. Okay, so after writing the name, I'll just give you an example. Okay, let us take an example and then we will learn more. So here students, I am writing the scientific name of a lion. I am going to write the scientific name of a lion. So scientific name of lion, Felis leo. See here, Felis leo. There are two words, isn't it? So it is according to binomial nomenclature. The first word Felis is indicating it is a genus name. Second word leo is indicating that it is a specific epithet. And you can observe that the first word genus Felis is starting with a capital F. The second word leo, it is a specific epithet, is starting with a small l. So here we have followed the first rule. Yes, these are the Latin words or Latinized words printed in italics. When writing, we are underlining them separately. Okay. So here we have studied all those concepts according to the example. And after that students, the name of the author who described that particular organism. The name of the author who described that particular organism can be written after the name of the species. Okay, the name of the author who described the organism can be written after the name of the species. Felis leo, after that we can write the name of the author. Linnaeus. Okay, Linnaeus is the name of the author. So I can write it like Felis leo Linnaeus, or even I can write it in Linnaeus in short form, Felis leo Lin. Okay, so the name of the author can be made into short form and it can also be written in this way. Okay, and if we want, we can add the year of describing also. If we want, we can add the year of describing also. So we can write Felis leo Linnaeus 1758. Okay, here also we can write the same 1758. Okay ma'am, this is how we give the name to the organism. So Felis leo Linnaeus 1758. By writing it in this way, we can understand that lion is called as by the scientific name Felis leo. Felis is the genus name, Leo is the species name, Linnaeus is the author who described it in the year 1758. Okay. But after some time, if it is observed that this particular species is is wrongly included in the genus. Okay, if this particular species is wrongly included into a genus, then what can be done? It means I am trying to say that if what happens if we come to know that Leo is not belonging to the genus Felis. This is not the original name of the lion, students. Leo, it is wrongly included into the genus Felis. Okay, if the species is wrongly included into a particular genus, then what can be done? We can do one thing. I am just erasing the upper part. Okay, if we are finding that this particular species is not belonging to that genus into which it is actually included, we can do one thing. We can write the original name of the lion. Lion is this is not the original name of lion, students. Linnaeus, he wrongly included Leo into this genus Felis. So now we are going to correct it. The lion, it belongs to the genus Panthera. Leo. Panthera, Leo. Panthera is the original genus name of lion. Species name of the lion is Leo. And after that we are going to write the name of the author who described it for the first time in parenthesis. That means in brackets we are going to indicate the name of the author. So by writing the name of the author in the brackets, in this way we understand that this particular species Leo, it was at one point it was wrongly included into a particular genus, but after that it was identified that the genus name is wrong and it is now correctly included into the genus Panthera. The first person who described this species is Linnaeus. This is what we understand from this particular name. Okay, so here we understand by writing the name of Linnaeus in brackets that any author, any example can be taken. If we are writing the name of author in brackets, it means that the species to which that particular genus was included, the species to which is included in a wrong genus is described by this person, and now this species is placed into a right genus. This is what we understand by writing the name of the author in brackets. Okay, earlier this species was included into a wrong genus by this person. This is what we understand. Okay, so now this is the original name of lion, Panthera Leo. Leo was wrongly placed into some other genus by Linnaeus, but he is the person who first described it. This is what we understand from this kind of naming pattern. Okay, so this is all about the binomial nomenclature, students. Now let us learn some more concepts related to nomenclature. We have an extension of binomial nomenclature called trinominal nomenclature. Trinominal nomenclature. Tri means three, right? So here trinominal nomenclature, it is an extension of binomial nomenclature. Trinominal nomenclature is an extension of binomial nomenclature. Okay, trinominal nomenclature is an extension of binomial nomenclature. Here we use three words for naming the organism that is called as trinomen. Okay, trinomen. So the first two words of the scientific name will be same. The first word will be genus, second word will be species. But here we use third word, that is subspecies. Okay, the first word will be as usual, it is genus. The second word will be specific epithet, that means the species name. But additionally, third word is used, it is indicating the subspecies. Third word is used, it is indicating the subspecies. So this subspecies is a third word. Like the species, it is also a Latin or a Latinized word. It is always printed in italics. It also starts with a small letter. It It also starts with a small letter. Okay. This is regarding the subspecies, students. Coming to the examples of trinominal nomenclature, we can take the human beings. Homo sapiens sapiens. This is the scientific name of human beings. The first word is indicating the genus. Second word is indicating the species. Third word is indicating the subspecies. Okay, this is regarding trinominal nomenclature. Coming to the another type of nomenclature, tautonymy. Okay, tautonymy. So here in tautonymy, this is a practice of naming of the organism. Tautonymy is a practice of naming of the organism in which the genus name and species name are same. Okay, tautonymy is the practice of naming of the organism in which the genus name and species name are same. Tautonymy is the practice of naming of organism in which the genus and species names are same. Okay, here the genus and species names are same. So such name is called as tautonym. Such name is called as tautonym. Okay, let us take the examples. Spotted deer. It is having the scientific name axis. Okay, this first axis is indicating genus name. Second axis is indicating the species name. Okay. Another example. Naja. It is king cobra. Okay. It is a cobra. Naja is cobra. First word is genus. Second word is species. Katla. This is a name of a fish. This is one type of fishes. First word genus name, second word species name. Okay, ma? So this is regarding how we name the organism, students. Here in this part nomenclature, we have learned regarding 3 different ways of naming of the organism. 3 different ways by which we can give the scientific name to the organism. We have learned regarding binominal nomenclature, trinominal nomenclature and tautonymy. Okay. Now let us learn few more concepts related to the diversity in the living world. Students, now we are going to learn regarding what is classification. Okay. So students, as I have told you that there are many different types of organisms, right? There are many varieties of organisms in the living world. But it is not possible for us to study all the organisms in detail, isn't it? We cannot study all the organisms in detail. But to make this possible, to make the study of all the living organisms possible, there is a necessity for classification. Okay, for making the study of all the living organisms possible, there is a necessity of classification. Okay, so what is classification then? Classification is nothing but it is a process of grouping of the organisms into different categories based on some characters. It's called as classification. Okay, what is classification? Classification is the process of grouping of the organisms into some convenient categories based on some observations. Okay, classification is the process of grouping of the organisms into convenient categories based on called as classification. Okay. So see students, we will be observing different kinds of organisms for suppose. So just take the take dogs, right? So if you just have a thought regarding dog, you will have a particular picture in your mind, right? So if you take cats into your image, okay, if you just imagine cats, then you will have the picture of only cats into your brain. But the cats are different and dogs are different, right? So if I am saying a dog, then a particular body form of dog will appear to you, isn't it? When I am saying a cat, a particular appearance of a cat will appear into your brains. When I am speaking about mammal, then all the mammals will come into your brain, right? So like a dog, a cat, an elephant, a human being, all these animals will come into your brains. So considering a dog, a cat, a mammal or an animal is nothing but we are classifying the organisms. Okay, so into some categories. This is all how we are classifying the organisms into categories. These are animals, these are dogs, these are cats, these are human beings. In that way we are categorizing the animals, right? So that process of categorizing the animals is called as classification. Okay, so this classification of the organisms into some convenient categories is based on some observation. So these categories, students, they are called as taxa. They are called as taxa. The taxa can be of any level. It could be as big as kingdom Animalia, or it can be mammals, or it can be a dogs, it can be cats. Any of them can be a taxa. That means taxa is at different levels. There are different levels of taxa. Okay, Animalia, mammals, dogs, cats. These are the examples of different taxa. Okay. So as I have told you already, classification is based on some observable characters. Based on some observations, we will classify the organisms, right? So here this process of grouping of the organisms into different taxa, this process of grouping of the organisms into different taxa, this process of classifying the organisms is called as taxonomy. What is taxonomy, students? The process of classification of the organisms is called as taxonomy. The process of classification of the organisms is called as taxonomy. Okay. A.P. de Candolle. A.P. de Candolle is the person who coined the word taxonomy. Okay. A.P. de Candolle is the person who coined the term taxonomy. Okay. H. Santapau is a person, he is an Indian. H. Santapau is an Indian. He is a person who is called as the father of, Indian taxonomy. H. Santapau is called as the father of Indian taxonomy. Okay. So students, in taxonomy, that means in the process of classification of the organisms, some observations are taken, right? So let us see what those observations are. We are going to take into consideration the external and internal structure of the organisms. Okay, we are going to take into consideration external and internal structures of the organisms. We are going to take into consideration the structure of their cell. The structure of the cell. We are going to take into consideration their developmental processes and also the ecological information of the organism we are going to take into consideration while classifying the organism. These are the characters like the external and internal structure, the structure of their cell, developmental processes and their ecological information. These all observations will be made while we are classifying the organism. Okay. So students, finally we can say that characterization, identification, nomenclature and classification are the processes which are included in taxonomy. Okay ma? Characterization, identification, nomenclature and classification are the processes which are included in taxonomy. Okay ma? We will come across these terms. Characterization means observing the different characters, like I have told you here, external and internal structure, structure of the cell, developmental processes, ecological information. So observing all this is called as characterization. Then identification. We have to first identify the organism which we are trying to name and classify, right? So the identification of the organism should be done. Nomenclature means naming of the organism. Classification means grouping the organism into some convenient categories is classification. So these are all the four processes: characterization, identification, nomenclature and classification are the four processes which are included in taxonomy. Okay ma? So this is regarding classification and taxonomy. Okay students, so here in taxonomy we are going to identify the characters of the organism, identify the organism, name it and classify it. Okay. So students, as I have told you, till now we have studied that human beings are interested in knowing about the organisms. But we human beings are not only interested in knowing about the organisms, but we are also interested in understanding the relationships between the organisms. Okay, we are not only interested in learning more about the organisms, we are also interested in learning more about the relationships between the organisms. So that part of study of relationships between the organisms is called as systematics. Systematics. Okay, systematics, it means that it is the study of the relationships between the organisms. It is the study of relationships between the organisms. The study of relationships between the organisms is called as systematics. Okay ma? Systematics means the study of relationships between the organisms. So the systematics is derived from a Latin word called as systema. Systematics is derived from a Latin word called as systema. So systema in the sense the organization of the animals. The organization of the animals is nothing but systema. So according to this name only, the Linnaeus he named the book. Linnaeus he given a title to his book called Systema Naturae. This is the title given to the book of Linnaeus by considering this word systema, the organization of the animals. Okay. So in systematics, as I have told you, we are studying the relationships between the organisms. Here in systematics, phylogeny is also considered. Phylogeny of the organisms is also considered in systematics. Phylogeny in the sense evolutionary relationships between the organisms. Evolutionary relationships between the organisms is also considered in systematics. Phylogeny. Let me write it properly. Phylogeny. Phylogeny in the sense the evolutionary relationships between the organisms. So in systematics, phylogeny of the organisms is also taken into consideration. Phylogeny of the organisms is also taken into considerations in systematics. Okay, and this word systematics is coined by Julian Huxley. Julian Huxley, he gave the word systematics. Okay, and Linnaeus, Carolus Linnaeus is called as the father of, he is called as the father of modern systematics. Carolus Linnaeus is called as the father of modern systematics. Okay students, this is regarding systematics completely. So here regarding systematics we have learned that the study of relationships between the organisms is called as systematics. Systematics is a word which is derived from the Latin word which means systema. Systema is the organization of the animals. Linnaeus used this word systema like Systema Naturae. This is the book of Linnaeus. So he titled the book Systema Naturae according to this word systematics. Then in systematics, even the phylogeny of the organisms is taken into consideration. Phylogeny in the sense, the evolutionary relationships between the organisms is taken into consideration in systematics. So systematics is a word which is coined by Julian Huxley. Linnaeus, Carolus Linnaeus is called as the father of modern systematics. Okay ma? So with this we finished to learn regarding the second topic of our first chapter. Okay ma'am? Then the diversity of in the living world is our first chapter. So the second topic of the first chapter is finished in today's class. I'll see you all again in the next class with a continuation topic to this. Thank you all for joining the class.